and we'll go through this, and you'll be glad that you'll be glad you're attending because there are prizes afterwards. Okay, first thing, why do you use a primer?
Helps the paint stick better?
Not necessarily. You use a primer when you want to do a couple of things. One is you've done body work, and with putty and that, and you got to get an even color surface for it. Or two, in our case, if you're using automotive or specialty mixed paints, sort of scale finishes paints, gravity colors, Cobra colors, Dupli-Color sprays, Metro color enamel, Dupli-Color, Krylon, etc. And you're going to see some really interesting things relative to all of these different primers up here. And you're going to go, why in the world do you have all of these primers? Well, because I'm a sick individual. No, actually I started out using just Tamiya primers. And the primer that you use is going to affect a couple of things on the model. It's going to affect the texture. You can get different textures by using different quality primers. If you don't polish out the primer, you're not going to get a very smooth finish. But there's ways to compensate for that. And we're going to show that how the color of the primer affects the color of your paint. Many people think, oh, what the heck, white primer, gray primer, it doesn't matter. Well, it does, okay? And we're going to show how you can use some other colors too, a little bit beyond it, but as a primer / base coat for your paint. So let's start talking about all these different things up here. There's some Tamiya primers here, white and gray. There's Gunze Mr. Surfacer, 1000 and 1200, one's white, one's gray. A red oxide primer that they've just come out with. Humbrol's just reintroduced a line of spray paints, and that's their black primer. Cobra colors, they're what they call Moon Mud is a primer. Their VX etching primer, All-Clad made a primer. Then Gunze has a series of primers starting at a 500 all the way up to a 1500, and then in a black. So let me start showing, pass these around. Here's the Tamiya Fine White primer. You'll see it's got a little texture to it, but not bad. And here's their gray. This is the Mr. Surfacer 1000 white. And you can pass them around if you want to. And this is the Mr. Surfacer 500. This definitely has a grit to it, a texture to it that you can feel. Then this is their 1000 primer. That's a little bit finer. Their 1200, that's a little bit finer as well. And then their 1500, okay? What I like to do is I've started to really like the Gunze primers in the bottles. I'll start with the 500, do my work, sand it down some. If I have to do another coat, I use the 1000 or the 1200 and then finish off with the 1500. And it gets a very nice finish. A lot of times you don't have to polish that. I mean, you look at that, that's a very nice satin black. We used it on a couple of Joe's chassis last week to give a semi-gloss finish. Here's a red, military, but can affect the color. If you're looking for automotive quality primers or other things, this is a Dupli-Color Perfect Match and Scratch Filler. Has a different texture to it. Here's the Dupli-Color Primer Sealer, a little bit darker, not bad. This is the Dupli-Color Sandal Primer. It will fill some scratch marks or small body imperfections. You can sand it down. And you can see none of these have really affected the styrene spoons. And I've become a big advocate of spooning. But it really helps you understand what's going to happen to your model car. Yeah, there was. What's going to happen to your model car when you use some of these paints. And you're going to be really glad that you test some things after you see what happens to some of these spoons. Yeah.
All of those that you have, are those compatible with both the lacquer and the?
No. And what's going to be what you're going to see is really interesting. We're going to talk about using barriers as well. You'll see a little bottle of bins here and a spray can of U-Col. Okay. So you can see the different textures, different colors all through there, okay? If you want to pass them around, pass them around. If not, I'm going to put them off to the side because we're going to get into the fun stuff. It's like dominoes. They'll go into and I'll put them back where the stuff looks like. So, what I did, I took a bunch of these different paints that are up here, like, scale finishes. And we're gonna go through that. This is the TS red, bright mica red, back here. This is Tamiya, this is the gravity color. This is the Krylon, silver nickel, we'll put that here. This is this color red, this is kind of a cool color red. It's called electric current red.
No, that's Steve Lindgren red.
Gasser red?
Gasser red.
This is the U-Bolt.
Every red is Steve Lindgren red.
We have,
One's this metal flake and candy
Yeah, that to me, red looks more like what
this
Steve.
is, no, this is the pure red. So, let's start with the pure red, the Tamiya paint. And what we used, the following things, we did a test on just plain old plastic with nothing, okay?
Wasn't lacquer, right?
Yeah, or Tamiya acrylic lacquer, you know, it's funny they call it acrylic lacquer.
He'll get you high.
Oh, they got nasty fumes in it.
It's fun. It's reverse in the house.
Yeah.
Okay,
It kills more brains.
I'd rather spray that outside than in the
Okay.
paint booth.
It's good in trash cans.
Yeah.
okay, so here's this over plastic. Just plain plastic.
Nice gloss.
Nothing to it. Didn't attack the plastic. This is it over Tamiya white. That I didn't polish any of the primers, okay, so you can see what it does from a texture standpoint. Here it is over Mr. Surfacer 1200, a gray color. Now look what's happening, okay?
Huge.
Duplicolor, prime and seal, over Humbrol black. And over, and that is Tamiya white, sealed within U-POL, okay? Do not spray U-POL directly out of the can onto your plastic model. That's what happens. It etches it. It will attack it like crazy, okay?